Veličí duša moja Hospoda, i возрадовал ся дух мой о Бозі спаси моє, чеснішую херуві.
In August of 2015, the Oriental Lumen Foundation sponsored a pilgrimage to Slovakia and Hungary to visit Marian shrines. This is a video of highlights of that trip. We began the trip with the blessing of replica icons that we had made of the Marian shrine at Epiphany of Our Lord Byzantine Catholic Church in Annandale, Virginia. Father John Basarab blessed the icons on the altar, and then Marlene McCracken and I took the icons to the Basilica of the National Shrine, the Redeeming Chapel, for a prayer, and that they would visit the first of 4 locations that were in miniature size on the icon. We then visited Metropolitan Kallistos in Oxford as our first stop on our trip to Europe, where we also gave him an icon. After Oxford, we visited Windsor Castle and went to a prayer service at St. George Chapel on the grounds of the castle, and had dinner and other sites in Windsor itself. We then flew to Vienna, Austria, where there was a bomb scare and our terminal building was emptied of arriving passengers. So we had a few hour delay before we started our journey that led us from Vienna through Bratislava into northern Slovakia, a few nights in Presov to Nyíregyháza, Hungary, back through Budapest to Bratislava, and then back to Vienna. We did all this in a 9-passenger minibus. Along the highway in Austria, we stopped at a guest house and had a delicious luncheon of Wiener Schnitzel and potato salad, of course with beer on the table. We spent the weekend at a pension in Poprad, Slovakia, where we all had beautiful, cozy rooms, and drove from Poprad through the mountains to Bardejov and the surrounding area to visit wooden churches and the Icon Museum in Bardejov. In Bardejov, we stopped at a restaurant for chicken soup, brinza halushki, and pierogi with sour cream. At the pension, we were given access to a beautiful gas grill where we had steaks and vegetables. The next morning, we drove through the village of Lupinova to the liturgy for the anniversary of the apparitions on Zvír Mountain. While prayer was beginning before the liturgy, I interviewed Metropolitan Jan Babiak. Po slovensku. Tak. We are at the Marian pilgrimage site of Lupinova, where thousands of pilgrims come to visit. They come to thank the Mother God for the gifts and graces they have received, and at this site they also pray for graces for their families. It is 25 years since the Marian apparitions took place, when I declared that this site was a place of prayer. Every day we have liturgies and spiritual services for our faithful and from the entire country, including Roman Catholics. Others come from other countries such as Ukraine, Germany, Poland, and Hungary. Simply put, it is a wide collection of faithful. I send greetings to all the pilgrims and all the U.S. citizens who have a Slovak heritage, especially those who know this pilgrimage site, so that they would find time to come and to replenish their spirituality. I give everyone my heartfelt blessing. The liturgy started with a very long procession of clergy. At this liturgy, there were 3 bishops celebrating. Bishop Milan of Presov, Bishop Virgil from Oradea, Romania, who was the guest homilist, and Metropolitan Jan Babjak. These are just some video highlights of the full hierarchical liturgy of Metropolitan Babjak, in which he vested in front of the faithful, did all of the prayers leading up to the liturgy, and then, of course, the liturgy itself. Bishop Virgil preached in Italian with a Slovak translation read to all the people that were there. The liturgy had thousands on top of this mountain, all participating and singing, and at the end of the liturgy, many people came up and prayed at the icon of the Mother of God. At this liturgy, we also found cousins of Holly Hogan from our parish, and we were invited into the home of Maria Sikoriak for a pot of stuffed cabbage that she just happened to make that morning. It was not filled with tomato sauce as usual, but with bacon and kielbasa. We then went to Lutina, another Marian shrine in Slovakia. This is a panoramic view of the village from the top of the hill. And on the site, they have miniature models of the wooden churches of the region, along with some other buildings. And inside the basilica, there is a side chapel with an icon screen. We then traveled to Presov, where the next morning we had liturgy with Bishop Milan Lach in the chapel of the Chancery Office. After the liturgy, we gave Bishop Milan one of our icons in thanks for his serving liturgy for us. And after liturgy, we did a tour and visited the Presov Cathedral. And on the wall, we saw the replica of the Shroud of Turin, along with the relics of Blessed Paul Gojdich and Blessed Basil Hopko. Then Bishop Milan made arrangements for us to visit the seminary nearby, and Father Miroslav Danczak gave us a tour, showed us around, and we visited the seminary chapel. Later that afternoon, I drove up further into the mountains to the little village of Shandal and met with my mother's family, and went to the nearby newly consecrated church in Bokshay and saw where new construction has been ongoing under Metropolitan Babiak. We then drove the next day from Presov to a lake nearby in southern Slovakia and another Marian shrine called Klokochov, where Father Basil Rakatsky had a liturgy for us in English. Father Basil was in New Jersey for many years as a Basilian monk, a priest.
Az egészen átjelentő, ezen Szent hajléknak boldog és örök emlékű alapító és jótevőről, s ti rólatok mindnyájatokról igazítő keresztények, emlékezzék meg az Úristen az ő országában, mindig most és mindenkor és örökkön örökké.
We then went and venerated the Klokochov icon, which is mounted on a side wall. You can walk up these staircases to get close to it. Then we went with Marlene's cousins and had lunch in Michalovce, visited the relics of Blessed Dominic Turchka, and then also went to a village to visit some of Marlene's other relatives. Then that evening, we drove up near Vranov to a mountain resort where we had dinner with the family of my cousins, Jan Fiegel, the politician. The next day we drove across the border into Hungary and went to a church in Ench, a large city just across the border, where we then had lunch with the priest and his family. And then continued on to Maripoch, where we visited the Shrine Church and had private prayer and another liturgy with Father Basil. After the liturgy, we visited a small chapel that the monks use for their daily services and had dinner with a few of the monks in their refectory. And the next day, we drove from Nyíregyháza, where we were staying, all the way to Budapest, and stopped first at the Hungarian Parliament building and had a tour inside, where we saw the meeting room of the Hungarian Parliament. Our hotel had a beautiful pool.
Ty s nami budi, jak stanem pred Tvojim synom na strašnom súdi. Slava Tvoja, slava Maria.
And we went on a riverboat dinner cruise along the Danube at night, where we saw the Parliament building, and then to the top of the mountainside, where we saw the city at night. The next day, we were back in Marian for the large anniversary liturgy. There were some 13 bishops, including Bishop John Kudrick, you see there. And the liturgy was led by Metropolitan Fulop Kocis, the Archbishop of Hajdúrog, the head of the Hungarian Greek Catholic Church. I was given the privilege and honor of chanting the epistle in English during this liturgy, although most of the liturgy was in Hungarian. The 13 bishops, 7 were Greek Catholic or Byzantine Catholic, and 6 were Roman Catholic. The liturgy was also covered by the state television of Hungary and broadcast live. This all took place on August the 15th for the Feast of the Dormition.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Philippians. My brothers and sisters, your attitude must be that of Christ. Though he was in the form of God, he did not deem equality with God something to be grasped at. Rather, he emptied himself and took the form of a slave, being born in the likeness of men. Because of this, God highly exalted him and bestowed on him the name above every other name, so that at Jesus' name Every knee must bend in the heavens, on the earth, and under the earth, and every tongue proclaim to the glory of God the Father, Jesus Christ is Lord.
Szentséges főpásztorunk Ferenc római pápának adjunk békességet, egészséget és áldást számos boldog éven át.
Our group had front row seats, but had to use umbrellas for shade because the temperature was 100 degrees and it was very, very sunny and hot. After the liturgy, we met up with Bishop Milan Lach on the left and Bishop Milan Sashik on the right. We gave them icons. As well as Bishop John Kudrick, who's made a few remarks at the luncheon. And we presented an icon to Archbishop Fullo. After the liturgy, we had lunch with the clergy families. And one of the clergy has 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls, who have formed a little musical group, and they serenaded us with a Hungarian song and a rendition of Edelweiss in English from the movie Sound of Music. They also sang for us God Grant You Many Years in Hungarian. And we returned the favor with God Grant You Many Years in Church Slavonic. After lunch, we just happened to meet up with Archbishop Fullo, who was walking by, and posed for a picture with him in front of the Shrine Church. And then loaded up onto our bus. And drove all the way across Hungary on a very fast motorway, covering 350 miles in about 5 hours, from Nyíregyháza in the far east through Hungary to Bratislava in the west. The next morning in Bratislava, we attended liturgy at the Greek Catholic Cathedral. Where Bishop Peter Rusnak is the bishop, and he had the liturgy for us in Church Slavonic and welcomed our group before the liturgy started.
Nami,
We then posed for a picture with Bishop Peter at the cathedral, and they had a wonderful luncheon for us. We then went up to Castle Hill and saw the Parliament building. And went into Bratislava Castle. Some of our group climbed up the towers and had a beautiful view of the Danube River and the surrounding city area. We then drove a little further up the Danube River, visited Devon Castle, a medieval castle ruins, and some of our group also climbed to the top of it to see the ruins. From Bratislava, we drove the short distance to Vienna, and the next morning started our touring at Schönbrunn Castle, where Maria Theresa lived, along with many others of the Habsburg family, the Austrian-Hungarian Empire for some 300 or 400 years. We went into the city and visited St. Stephen's Cathedral Square, where they have horse-drawn carriages, and then a beautiful Gothic cathedral, where the original Marian Pope icon is still located. final night of our trip, we found the Kersalon Concert Hall in the city park where Johann Strauss actually performed, and we attended a concert with dinner of nothing but Strauss and Mozart music that was performed by a 13-piece ensemble where the concertmaster conducted a beautiful evening of classical music. And then flew home through London, and here we see a view of Wembley Stadium. We then landed back in Dulles Airport and made our way home. Thank you very much.
Is the